I call a case of Putty versus Klompus. This is the case of Jack Putty versus David Klompus. Mr. Putty is the plaintiff and is seeking a court injunction. You want me to issue a court order against the defendant, Mr. Klompus. You're claiming that there's an illegal gambling game going on, and to prove illegal gambling, you will have to prove 3 elements: that there's consideration, some kind of payment, that it's a game predominantly of chance, and that there is some kind of payment in return, like a reward. I understand that this is about Texas Hold'em, so we're clear on what it is. Each player in the game is dealt 2 cards face down. They're called the hole cards. The initial round of betting takes place. Then 3 public cards face up are placed in the middle of the table, the flop. Then there's some more betting, and then another public card is placed up. That's called the turn. And then there's another betting round, and now another public card is placed face up, the river. And then the players can use the cards in their hand and on the table to make a poker hand that's called the showdown, and the player with the best poker hand wins the money. Tell me what you would like us to do, me as the court.
Well, Mr. Klompus and I live next door to each other. We have a shared driveway between the houses, which leads back to both of us have garages behind our houses. And Mr. Klompus, every Saturday afternoon, has a poker tournament in his garage. So one time I wanted to see what was going on in his garage, so I entered his poker tournament. I paid $10 to Mr. Klompus himself to get in the tournament. And there was 2 tables set up with numerous guys playing Texas Hold'em. So I joined, and I ended up winning $50.
Okay, so you paid to get in the game and you won something, so you're both under oath. So I'm going to accept that there's consideration and reward. The only issue is going to be, is this a game of chance or is it a game of skill? If it's a game of chance, you win. If it's a game of skill, it's not gambling, and Mr. Klompus wins. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Texas Hold'em's merely a game of chance. As you said, it's a game where you get 2 cards face down. Your chance of winning increases by what cards you have. If you have pocket aces, you have a 95% chance of winning that hand, no matter how much skill is involved in this. You're going to win over someone who has 4-9 offsuit, per se. All your chances increase depending on what cards you get in that pocket. It's a game of chance. And I'll give you an example of a game of chance. In 2003, there was an amateur poker player named Chris Moneymaker who entered the World Series of Poker, the national tournament, as an amateur.
His name is Moneymaker?
Chris Moneymaker, yes, sir.
Are you making this up?
No, I'm not.
All right, go ahead.
And as an amateur, he went on and played many professionals, qualified for the tournament, and actually won this tournament as an amateur. A game of chance. Actually, it's called the Moneymaker effect now for amateurs that go online and enter these tournaments and win. Because they're amateurs, they have no skill at all. And this guy knocked out every professional player in the tournament. So it's a game of chance. A game of skill is a game of billiards, a game of chess, bowling. This is all skill. You start the same every time. Poker, you can't start the same because you get different cards every time.
Isn't there an element of chance in all those games, the way the balls line up?
Again, billiards, it starts the same every time. So how you break, you determine that game. So that's a skilled game. Chess, it starts the same every time. Whether it takes me 10 moves to put you in checkmate or 15 moves, that's a game of skill.
Doesn't Texas Hold'em start the same way?
But the cards are different every time. Your pocket cards are different every time, which leads to chance. Again, going back, if I have pocket aces every time, my chances are I'm going to win that hand.
Well, we need to know if this is a game of chance or a game of skill. What do you have to say?
I think this is a game of skill. This is a bunch of guys getting together, having a good time. But when we're playing poker, this is skill that you have to use.
Why do you say that?
I say that because one of the things that's involved is using human psychology. You got to look at the face of all your opponents, and you've got to check the nuances of their facial expressions, a twitch that somebody does here and there, and that is going to give you the message of whether you're going to hold them or fold them. The Kenny Rogers, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. That's the kind of thing that you have to look at, and you have to have the skill to be able to recognize those things.
Mr. Klompus, you're talking about skill, but how do you get the cards? Aren't they shuffled and dealt randomly?
They're shuffled and dealt randomly like any game. But if you were to take a bunch of ministers and sit them down with a professional poker player, that poker player is going to win every time. because
disagree
they
with
may
that.
have it. You may disagree, but I mean, look at what you talked about. You talked about somebody who was
Talk
an
to me.
amateur.
Talk
You
to
talked
me.
about somebody who was an amateur, but amateur just meant he didn't have any money that he played. He was 10,000 hours on his computer before he entered
Well,
those
now you
games.
said that this was just a game of guys. You
Yeah.
heard him say he walked in and there were 2 tables
It's
full
a
of people.
tournament.
Well, sometimes our guys invite some of their friends, and we have a good time together. Some people
So they
get
have to
some
pay to
snacks.
get in.
Oh yeah, they have to pay to get in. We got this idea. We had a trip to Atlantic City, had a great time, and saw the way they played poker down there. It was
Exactly.
great.
They play poker in Atlantic City because they make money off it. It's gambling.
Now hold on. You're saying, well, it is in a casino, right?
Well, that was in a casino, but we're just
Well,
a
it's in a
bunch of.
casino, isn't it gambling?
That depends on which part of the casino. This, in the upper part, has to have skill in order to get your money. Somebody who's going to
Does the
come in and have to
casino-
put in
Does the
50 bucks.
casino have a sign that says game of skill, skilled players only?
Well, the game or the sign that it is the money you have to put in, because you're not going to waste your money if you have no skill and you're not going to have any chance to win.
Why are you saying it's skill?
It's skill. I'm telling you, it's skill. And even Putty, we invited him to come to the game. He won 50 bucks. And if this is all so illegal, Putty, how about giving it back?
Well, if he won $50 and he doesn't play poker, doesn't
Ah,
that
but see,
make
that's
it
a
sound
story
it's a
that they
game
give.
of chance?
Did you hear him before? He watches the poker on TV. He knows what an amateur is. He
Doesn't
was
make me
saying all the
skillful at the game. I don't have skill in poker.
Gentlemen, talk to me. Talk to
Okay,
me.
that's an example, because if you're playing tennis, I said your buddy down the country club, so he plays against the #1 tennis player in the world. He might win a game, but he's not going to win a set, and he's not going to win the match, because you might have a little bit of skill, somebody might be off a little bit, but whether it be tennis or something else, the wind might be blowing in a certain direction that day.
Are you saying he had a good day then?
He had a good day.
So that's a game of chance, right?
But when the skill took over and those that are regularly playing, then they were able to beat him because he couldn't win again. That's why he didn't come back. He said, I didn't win enough, so I'm not coming back to this, and I'm going to try to stop the games because it's bothering my little house next door.
Well, we'll see. Is it?
Yeah, it's bothering my house. You're blocking my driveway. I can't even get my car down my driveway. There's 2 or 3 cars in the driveway because these guys are here to play poker.
But I've asked the guys not to block his driveway.
Well, they
that
do.
I understand.
They block
and
the driveway.
We're
They're
trying to be
loud.
nice.
Gentlemen.
I can't enjoy my house
Gentlemen, now you can't enjoy your house. Why? Tell
because
me.
there's a lot of noise coming out of that garage.
Shut
it's not
your
just
window.
playing cards.
Mr. Klompus, let me hear
The
from you.
garage door is open. There's noise. There's music. There's guys having fun playing a tournament game of poker. It's a tournament. They're making money. Yeah, I played one time. I won $50. A game of chance, pure chance. Atlantic City wouldn't have the game. Las Vegas wouldn't have the game. You go to these casinos for chance. You play blackjack. You play Texas Hold'em. You play slot machines. They're all games of chance.
Don't any of the casinos have bowling?
I've never played bowling in a casino, and I've never
Do
seen
they
it.
have chess tournaments?
No. And Mr. Klompus used an example of tennis. Tennis is a game of skill. That is a game of skill. So he's right with tennis, not Texas Hold'em.
And Texas Hold'em is like tennis. It's a game of skill.
How's it
You've
like
got-
tennis? I'm trying to understand
So you
how
try
this
to-
is not a game of chance when cards are shuffled randomly and handed out to people face down that the others can't even see.
And the point is what you do with them. Because whether it be the ball coming at you at 130 miles an hour, those cards
But
that
Mr.
are out there.
Klompus, if I have 3 or 4 aces, I mean, there's nothing
Yeah, in
that you
one
could do
hand.
if you are skilled.
So you might beat me in one hand, but because of my skill, I'm going to be able to manipulate. I'm going to be able to see, by the way you look, by the twitch in your eye that you have those 3 aces, and then I'm going to be able to fold, and I'll be a winner because I'll let you have that hand.
If
And
all your
next
players
time-
are skilled, then how does anybody ever win?
Well, one has more skill than the other, as in everything.
So
Some
then
of
that
us are
same
more
person
talented.
wins every week?
Your Honor, it's a game of chance. Like I said, I went there and I won money in this tournament with these skilled players. It's a game of pure chance. You could have aces 4 or 5 hands in a row. That's chance. It's all chance. It's not skill.
And it's what you do with those aces when you get them. And it's how you react to what the hands that somebody else
Percentages
gets. That's
show
what
if you
the
have
difference is.
aces or high cards, you're going to win that hand.
Well, you don't know anything about it. How do you know percentages?
Because I watch it on TV.
Gentlemen, it's not a debate. What I will do, I'm going to have to decide if this is a game of skill or chance. And as I said at the beginning, so we're clear, you have proven 2 of the 3 things. If you prove it's a game of chance, then I will order an end to the games.
And that's all I want.
I also have to decide the issue of the parking and whether or not you are blocking his way no matter what you say. So we're going to stand in recess, and then I'm going to come back and issue a verdict. Gentlemen, in the case of Putty versus Klompus, I have carefully considered the testimony before me. This is my decision. I'm going to issue an injunction as per your request against Mr. Klompus, to the point that Mr. Klompus, at all times, you must keep your driveway free and clear so that he has access to his property. I want the noise level kept reasonable so that he can enjoy his property. And whatever you're doing in that garage, I want it done by 10 o'clock at night and not to start before 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever you do, so that he can enjoy his property. On the main issue of whether or not poker is a game of skill or a game of chance, I find that it is predominantly a game of skill. Therefore, the injunction is denied as to against the poker games, and they may continue along the lines of what they had. We will now adjourn, and I will call the next case. Court is now in session. This is the case of Michigan versus Bennis. It's my understanding this is a case about who has the rights to a slot machine proceeds. Would you tell me why you're here?
Yes, Your Honor. Recently I was at a casino. I was playing the slots. I love the slots, Honor. I'm going to be honest. I do love them. It's a night out for me. I don't go beyond my means. I know what I can gamble. I'd recently gone up there, and I was there a couple hours. I'd leave occasionally. I'd come back. I'd call the floor lady. She'd reserve my seat. I was playing two slots.
How do they reserve a seat?
They put a sign up, or they kind of watch to make sure nobody else comes out. Because the thing with slots is once you get rolling, if they're hot, you know you're going to hit. You got to stay with it. You got to give it the time. I was there. I was playing two machines. I love these two machines.
How do you play two machines?
You get these reward cards, and you can put them into the machine, and you get rewards for doing it. I've gotten free valet. I've gotten buffets. You get anything.
So that's like a credit card kind of thing.
It's like a credit card, but you don't get money on it. It's actually like paper rewards, let's say. So I had it. It was attached to me. I had it in a machine. I was playing.
How do you mean attached to you? It's a card.
You get a little bungee cord, and you can attach it to the.
Okay. So normally you'd be sitting in a slot machine, and you put this card in.
Right, and then every time you play, you build up points. I had my card in a machine. I had it in Wilma. I played Fred and Wilma. They're my favorite cartoons since I was little.
Fred and Wilma?
They're the Flintstones, Your Honor. I played them since I love them.
So you're sitting at one machine, Fred.
I was sitting at Fred.
But you had your card in a machine next to you.
And it was on a card. It was diagonal. I have a bungee attached to me and attached to the card.
So no one was playing the machine next to you.
Nobody was playing.
Was there a row of machines here?
I was on the end, and Wilma was on the end, then it was Fred, and then there was a row of machines going down, and some of my friends were on those machines playing too as well. It's common etiquette at a casino. If a person's playing two machines, you walked by. There was more than one or two open machines. It wasn't like they were all full and she couldn't have gotten another machine. She knew I was playing this machine.
Did she sit down and start playing?
She wanted to sit down. I waved her off. I gave the universal, I'm playing this.
Tell me what happened. Tell me what happened.
She walks over, and people had been walking over. It's an unusually crowded day. They were giving away a car. People come to these places, think they're going to win a car. They sell 1,000 tickets. They think they're going to win a car. They're not. You're better off playing the slots. So I was playing the slots. She walked over, as others have, and I told them, I'm playing here. Can you please? I even did this, and she just looked at me. I turned around because I had ordered a cocktail from a waitress. I want to tip them. They're working hard for their money, Your Honor. I can't be rude. I'm tipping her. I turn around, next thing I know, buzzers are going off. She's jumping up and down. I'm out of money. She won $1,200 on my slot machine.
Well, when you say it's your slot machine, first of all, the casino owns the machine, right?
But I played I was playing it all day. I was there for 6 hours on these two machines.
6 hours.
I had been there for 6 hours. I would take the occasional break. I would call the floor lady. She would come over. She would reserve the machine. They were my machines, Your Honor. I was attached to the machine with the bungee cord.
When you took a break, did you leave your card? What did you do?
I would call the floor lady. She would come over and she would reserve the seats for me.
How did they reserve the seats?
They usually put a sign or they watch over there. I left things there. They knew where they were my machines. I was there. I wasn't like I had gone away. I was there when this woman came over and broke every type of etiquette there was. I even waved her away with the universal "see ya." And she continued. I turned my back. She underhandedly went over and put her little quarter in the machine and won $1,200.
And she won, and you're saying that you would have won that if
had
she had
given
not
me,
done that.
Yes.
That would have been your money.
That is my money. That's the truth, Honor. That is my money.
So you're suing her for that money.
I'm suing her for the $1,200 that I feel is mine.
I'm trying to understand how the slot machine works, though. You're sitting in one seat,
right?
But you're playing a machine next to you that nobody's seated in.
Nobody was sitting.
And there were other machines
open along the row. Yes.
And the last thing, you didn't know her? Did you know her before?
No.
So she wasn't a regular in your row?
I've never seen her. I've never, nor do I care to see her after today, sir.
Okay. So then you brought this lawsuit.
I brought this.
Right,
I want the money.
Let's ask a few questions then, and why don't you tell me what happened? You won some money.
Okay, on the day in question, Your Honor, I had purchased a raffle ticket to win a car. Now, unfortunately, you have to be physically present if they call your number to win the car. So, I'm not a gambler like the plaintiff. I went up and tried to win the car. I did not win the car, so I decided to play a little bit. I had an hour or so to kill. So on the day in question, as was stated, and the only thing I will agree with the plaintiff about is that the casino was very, very busy. So I decided to walk around, and what I will do is I'll put random quarters in random machines. I play once or twice, and I move on to another machine. I don't know proper etiquette per se because I'm not a gambler per se. Okay, I moved away from the main area of the casino because it was very, very crowded, and I wanted to be away from the crowd. I saw a machine called Wilma. I saw it was unoccupied. There was nothing there.
There was a card
no
attached to it. I was attached to the card.
People leave cards in machines.
What does this mean?
All over.
Okay, hold on.
All over the casino. In fact, earlier that day, Your Honor, I had pulled a card and placed it on the ledge next to the machine. I don't know what those cards are for. I don't play.
When you say you pulled a card, was that someone else's card?
Right.
And
in
you
another
found it
machine in another
machine?
area, yes.
And then you took it out?
Right.
So did I understand, though, when you won the money, did you get paid?
Yes, they came over with a big check. They took my picture. Everyone congratulated me. In fact, I was approached, when I approached the machines originally, I sat down, or actually, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I stood. I had hurt my back when I was gardening, so I stood. I put a quarter in the machine. I did not sit down. There was no purse on the machine to occupy it, nor was there a reserve sign. I approached. I noticed this person yelling and screaming. Her arms were flailing in the air. Her mouth constantly moved, and she had drinks in her hand most of the time, Your Honor. I couldn't hear what she was saying over the drone of the machines. I really could not hear. I don't know if she said anything. At one point, this obnoxious individual looked at me. She mouthed words, returned to her games, returned to her antics, and continued to play. I unfortunately was unable to hear her. Like I said,
that's why
she
I waved,
seemed
Your
that she
Honor.
was drinking, Your Honor. She swayed. She was very animated. She was glossy-eyed. In fact, she turned to her left when a waitress approached, picked up the drink, and that's when I came in and put the quarter in the machine.
Was there anything, when you played that machine, was there anything on the seat or anything that
No, Your
indicate that that machine was being used?
There was nothing on the seat.
But her card was in there.
I did not see the card at that
You didn't even
time,
see
yeah.
the card?
No.
Maybe
So
somebody
you
else
put
had a
in one
drink.
quarter.
Or the bungee cord.
You put in one quarter, and then what?
And I won $1,200.
My $1,200.
The buzzers went off, the lights were flashing. People ran over to congratulate me. In fact, she turned to me, and I assumed she was going to congratulate me. Instead, she screamed, she glared, she spit, she cursed, she demanded the money from me. Now, I calmly and nicely told her it was my quarter on my machine, not her machine.
Oh, she could own the machine, but I can't.
And it was my win. And I wouldn't give her the money. Why would I give it to her?
Have you ever played more than one machine at a time?
Never, never. And I think that's very rude. I think one person per machine would be how I would work it.
But
okay?
when you're at the casino then, you don't sit down. You
No,
go,
I can't, Your Honor, because of my back.
And you don't stay at one machine?
No, I stay about 30 seconds, I put in a quarter or two and move on to the next, on to bigger and better things. As you can see, $1,200.
But you had no indication at all that she was playing that machine?
No, I did not. And people, like I said, have left their cards in the machines several times. I mean, I'm not a seasoned gambler. I don't know proper etiquette, you know, and I took my check. I went home so I wouldn't gamble anymore. And then a few weeks later, I was informed that I was being sued. And I feel this lawsuit's very unjust. This woman had some nerve. She's a sore loser, completely incompetent in my mind.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to hear personal attacks. Let me just hear from you. I have a few more questions.
You're jealous of my good fortune.
Just tell me what you want.
I would like my $1,200.
My $1,200.
I don't own the machine, but she's saying it was her machine. I had money in my machine. I had a card in that machine. I was playing it for points.
I think I understand. We're going to stand in recess. I'm going to carefully consider this testimony, and I will be back to issue a verdict. So we are in recess. I'm ready to issue a ruling. I've carefully considered the testimony. This is quite unusual in the sense that we have someone who is playing 2 slot machines, and we have another person that came up and put a quarter in and won $1,200. However, the problem is that based on the testimony of what I've heard, the plaintiff would have to show unjust enrichment, that somehow the defendant unjustly enriched herself at your expense. And in this case, I think the facts are that the defendant did not know you were playing that machine. So therefore, I find in favor of the defendant, the case is dismissed. In the first case, I'd like to point out that there was a ruling by a common pleas judge in Pennsylvania that poker was a game of skill and not a game of chance, and therefore not illegal gambling. However, the Superior Court, and I was not on the panel, did issue a ruling overruling that judge and reversing his decision. So as of now in Pennsylvania, neighborhood poker would be an illegal gambling, a game of chance. The only place that is really legal would be in the casino. In the second case of unjust enrichment, the plaintiff had to prove that the other person unjustly enriched herself at the plaintiff's expense. Because the second person did not know that the first person was playing 2 machines, and because the money did not go on to the card that was in the machine, the plaintiff did not prove that she had control of both of those machines. Therefore, that's why the second case, the defendant won, and the case was dismissed.